Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Probiotics have become an exciting frontier in health and wellness. And most people, when they think of probiotics, they think of the probiotic supplements that you buy in a bottle. And these are good. I'm not against them at all. I think they're good, but they are so often killed by the stomach acids, which is what your body's designed to do, that they never make it to the parts of the body where they can do their job. So what we talk about is probiotic foods, and they have a little protective halo around them that speeds them to the parts of the body quickly because they're attached to food. And then they were able to do their job, and they're able to change your body from the inside out in a spectacular way. Now, one of the things that I would love for everybody to pay attention to is the feelings they have in their gut, because there's so much information there that is signaling to you things going on inside of this inner ecosystem that we have inside of us. There's an entire universe, guys. There's more bacteria in your body than there is stars in the Milky Way galaxy. And when you start to pay attention to that, it's giving you signals all the time. So let's try to figure out if the bacteria in your gut is out of whack. Your bacteria is one of your strongest allies in being healthy, but it can also be one of your worst enemies. And honestly, the symptoms of an unbalanced gut are so broad and wide because your gut bacteria affects so many things. It's staggering the amount of things that it happens that it can affect in your body. And you may not be aware of it, but I can help you understand what's going on, and I can also help you find these signals and clues so that you can figure out that maybe your bacteria is out of whack, and then I can help you fix it. So some of the obvious signs of your gut bacteria being out of whack is constipation, excessive intestinal gas, or too little gas, because you do need that in your body. That's actually a good sign. If you have chronic diarrhea, stomach pain, but less obvious symptoms can be hormonal disruptions, anxiety, depression, digestive problems, food cravings, addictions for foods that you don't normally crave, but now you do, skin rashes, and many other things as well. All of these can be signs that your gut bacteria is out of whack. Your important gut, it's just overlooked, but it has all kinds of answers for the dilemmas in our life. And when you really start listening to your gut, it can change so many aspects of your life. We think that we control so much of what is happening in our daily lives and habits, but you're going to be really surprised that your 100 trillion microbes that make you their home, they control so much. You'll be surprised what happens when you harness the power of these 100 trillion microbes. Okay, so here's a scenario for you. After you eat, does your stomach hurt? How about gas? Do you get bloated? Symptoms of an unbalanced gut can also be, are you struggling with perimenopause or menopause or PMS? It's interesting because those things, we just think those are normal, but those things really shouldn't be happening. There's a way to help those become better. For instance, your body regulates your hormones and detoxes extra estrogen through your gut and through your liver. And if your gut is messed up, those extra hormones are going to get recirculated through your system. They're going to get reabsorbed, leading to higher levels of estrogen that make you feel horrible and possibly lead to too much estrogen in the body, which can cause all kinds of problems. 50% of the detoxification in your body, it goes on in your gut. And when you have the perfect amount of hormones, when you don't have too much estrogen, when you have the right amount of it, because you need some of it, and you have all your other hormones, you have testosterone. I mean, you need all of these. Even cortisol has a place. Everybody thinks it's bad, but it's very, very important for healing. But they need to be balanced. And when all of these, your insulin and all of these things get balanced, everything runs smoothly. And you don't get those PMS symptoms or perimenopause symptoms because your body is getting rid of the extra estrogen in your system and allows you to stay very, very balanced. I know quite a bit about this since I myself I think I'm through menopause. I think I am. I don't have a lot of symptoms, but I think that I understand a lot about it because I went through it. And it's just so cool what bacteria can do to help you. And I learned what powerful tools these cultured foods are that I eat that helped me balance my hormones. And I have what I call the trilogy every day. It's kefir, kombucha, and cultured vegetables. And sometimes I have things like kefir soda. I would say I have them a lot more in the summer and springtime because I'm making them right now because I like the drinks in the springtime. In the summer, I like to make different juices, but I like kefir sodas because they have probiotics in them, and I do that a lot. I've got like 3 bottles in my fridge right now that I'm making because it's warmed up here. And I do other things too, but mostly every day I have kefir, kombucha, and cultured vegetables. And I don't have a lot. I just make them a part of my diet. And when I do, all my hormones go into a huge balance. I just feel fantastic. I have lots of energy. I sleep good. And when I don't, I struggle. I do, especially when I was going through menopause. That was a big thing for me. I had to really watch everything that I ate and make sure I had these cultured foods and also stayed away from inflammatory foods, and then everything ran really smoothly. It's wonderful because it can help you sail through this period in your life, but it can also help you when you have, PMS, things like that. It will help you detox from all those extra estrogens, and men get them too. Men get extra estrogens. That's why they get them from the plastics and, drinking out of plastic bottles and all the chemicals that are in our foods that contain estrogen. The body makes them into estrogen. Even deodorants that people use under their arms, they can translate into too much estrogen in the body, and the body needs to detoxify itself from them. And cultured foods is a wonderful way to do that because the gut does 50% of your detoxification. So let's talk about this. Let me tell you what I have to balance my hormones, because everybody always asks me this. And okay, let's just talk about like this morning. I had avocado toast, which is delicious with a poached egg on it. And I had a glass of kefir, and I poured some grapefruit juice into the kefir because I love that. I just take the juice, and I have a fresh grapefruit, and I just squeeze some into my kefir. It's my lazy way to have kefir. And I usually always have, my toast is always sourdough bread. Right now I'm into einkorn sourdough bread, which I'm getting ready to teach everybody how to make, which is fantastic, by the way. And I always do that because sourdough bread is made with a culture, which is lactobacillus, and it changes the bread. It unlocks the nutrients. It helps reduce the gluten. It allows your body to digest it easily. So that's really the only kind of bread I really eat. And I love it in the morning. It's my favorite way to start my morning. So I have my kefir. I have some sourdough bread for breakfast. And then what I normally do is I top my bread with some kimchi, just like a tiny spoonful. And it's so good. It gives it sounds crazy, but guys, it's so good. I've even seen this on some restaurants. And I'll sometimes do this for lunch. I'll have sourdough toast as the grilled cheese, but I'll put kimchi in the middle of it, and then make it into a grilled cheese that is out of this world. And trust me, it's really good. They are serving it at restaurants now, so it sounds crazy, but it's delicious. And that way, I've gotten my kefir and my cultured vegetables, and you only need like a spoonful of cultured vegetables. And I have about a glass of kefir, about a cup, and that's big. Now, if I'm really struggling, I'll have 1 to 2, maybe 3 cups a day. When I was going through a really stressful time, a few years ago, it was really, really stressful. I upped my kefir to 3 to 4 cups a day to keep my anxiety levels calm because I was really struggling. And I found that kefir just would calm me all the way down, but I needed 3 or 4 cups. So that was when I had high anxiety. Now I just do a cup a day to 2 cups, and that's perfect for me. But if you have extra anxiety, we're going to get into that more on the show because I want to talk to you about that because it's really cool how much it will help you. Now I have kombucha too. I have kombucha, and I usually have kombucha in the afternoon or evening. Well, I take that back. Sometimes I have it all the time. So excuse me. Sometimes I'll get up in the morning and I'll have it. It's really funny. The way I determine when I want it is, it's almost like my body lets me know if I've like had a big workout the day before, and I've done weights. I like to do body weights, and I do all kinds of different exercises, and I have a lot of muscle soreness. I want kombucha in the morning because there's something about that that seems to really help me replenish myself after a workout, or if I've had a stressful day. Like I taught a class on Saturday, and I was up really early. Well, I was up at 5:30, or I think it was 5, for a couple of days in a row. And so then that next day, I want kombucha. That helps me in the morning. It helps my liver to cleanse itself, and it always gives me a boost. Or I have about 16 ounces of kombucha in the afternoon sometimes. It's a pickup for me because it kind of refreshes my adrenals and gives me, because you kind of have that afternoon slump sometimes. Or I'll have it in the evening while the sun is setting with my husband outside. We watch the sunset together. We do that too. So sometime during the day, I'm having it at least once a day, usually about 16 ounces a day, sometimes less, sometimes more, but that's what I do. So those are my ways that I have kefir, kombucha, and cultured vegetables every day. And when I do this, I'm loading my body with lots of vitamin C and B vitamins because all of these foods have those. And this gives my immune system the boost it needs, because your immune system uses up all your vitamin C and B vitamins when you're under stress too. So you are always needing to replenish them. Cultured foods are a great way to do that. Now, it also helps me get rid of the extra estrogen in my body. Specific bacteria in your system break it down and speed it out of the body. And so that's pretty much what I do every day. And I'm very grateful that it's helped me as much as it has. And I didn't know that it was going to be so crucial at this time in my life, but it was. And so while everybody else is getting medications for, going through menopause, I never needed that. And I attribute that to my cultured foods, to the probiotics that make my body their home, and the fact that I feed them and take care of them. And I think it can help you too, because I've seen it help so many people. Okay, another symptom I want to talk about: cravings and addictions. We think that they're just habits that we have, that we just like certain foods and we can't help it, but that's really not true. It's your microbes that are causing the cravings and preferences in your foods. You're going to crave different things depending on what you feed your microbes. And if you reset this by refeeding your microbes things they crave, it can make you crave foods that you never thought you would crave. I was reading a really good article the other day. There's a famous actor, and I think he's a magician too. His name is Penn Jillette. And he talked about in his book that he was really overweight, and his doctors wanted him to do gastric bypass because he was in the danger zone. But instead, he decided that he would reset his microbes by eating a very plain diet for a week, which was nothing but potatoes. Now, potatoes have a resistant starch in them that feed the microbiome and like crazy. And it is so effective in like resetting his microbes because he was feeding them. It's really interesting how it works. He lost his detachment for food because he was eating a very plain diet, but he was also feeding his microbiomes. And then he started adding a lot of soups and greens. And that also are prebiotics, which feed your microbes. And he said now he doesn't even want any of the foods that he used to eat. And he says it doesn't even bother him anymore. He can't believe he ever ate those food. He was shocked at how easy it was to clear out his microbiome. Okay, so potatoes have resistant starch in them, which is a very specific type of food. It's basically like a fertilizer for bacteria. And what it does is it resists digestion. That's why I call it resistant starch. But it really feeds your microbiome in a very powerful way. And it's different than some of the other foods. And it really helps feed those microbes, make them grow. And that's why it reduced his cravings so much. And then he went on to a healthier diet. He only did that for a week. But then he went on to adding more soups and greens and things that the microbes would eat, lots of prebiotics. And he effortlessly lost a lot of weight. Looks great now and doesn't even crave those foods. And I found the same thing, that you can change your microbes in a meal or even a few days. And after about 3 days, you start craving foods that your microbes love in a powerful way. So what are prebiotics? Prebiotics are fertilizer for your microbes, which is things like fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds. Certain ones particularly do a really good job. For instance, leeks, asparagus, lemons, berries, bananas. There's nuts and seeds, oatmeal. I have a whole list of these on my site at culturedfoodlife.com. Just type in prebiotics and I'll give you the big huge list. And I break it down as to how much each one of these do. And some are way stronger than others. But when you start feeding your microbiome like this, you start craving different foods because you begin to make microbes that need those foods. And so then you stop craving the addictive foods that you have been eating, and it becomes effortless for you to, take control of your weight, your body. It's pretty cool how it all works. Now let's talk about emotions. They are powerfully affected by our microbes. So let's talk about this. We have a nervous system in our gut that's between, I think it's 15 million and 100 million nerve cells. And it's about the same size as our spinal cord if we push them all together. It has its own intelligence, and they call it the second brain, and for good reason. It wants to get rid of things that don't belong there, and either things like, bad bacteria, bad bugs, toxins, rotten food. If you ingest something that's wrong, it gives the body the signal to expel it. And so for instance, you ate a bad bug, you eat something you shouldn't eat, and the body wants to get rid of it. It will generate diarrhea or vomiting to get it out of the body, because it doesn't belong there, and that's what it does. It knows what belongs in the body and what doesn't. And certain microbes can influence the production of the serotonin molecule, which plays a role in your appetite regulation, your food intake, your well-being, and your sleep. And it gives the microbes a tremendous ability to influence your overall health. And certain microbes can signal and activate what's called the vagus nerve, and that's a long nerve going from the gut to the brain. And they call it the information superhighway to the brain. And every single emotional state has a reflection on a gut level. For instance, anger makes the stomach contract. So it makes more acid secretions and increases blood flow to allow the stomach to do extra work. So if you're angry, your stomach is going to contract. When we have emotions like stress and anxiety, there's a release of stress hormones like adrenaline, non-epinephrine, and that circulates in the blood, and that makes your heart beat faster, and it causes like sweaty palms. And we are learning now that it also influences the behavior of the microbes in your gut because they have receptors for those chemicals. They have little tiny receptors that when those things happen, they get signaled. And it's really interesting. There was a professor, his name was Matthew Herman, and Catherine Forstall recently joined with University of Maryland to investigate a possible connection between fermented foods, which contain probiotics, and social anxiety. And the researchers, they knew they were onto something when they found that all the young adults who were eating more fermented foods had very little or none social anxiety problems. But all of the students who had gut problems and weren't eating fermented foods had high levels of social anxiety. And I guess they measured it. They had a way to measure this. And it was such a profound study that the Journal of Psychiatry Research accepted the study in April and published it in August of last year. And they really started stressing how important it is to balance your gut, not only just for your body's ability to balance its hormones, but to balance its state of being. And I have seen that firsthand over and over again with the research I've done on myself, my family, and the thousands of people that have come to my website and have talked to me about, especially at classes, people have told me how they've gotten off medications for depression. Once they fixed their gut, everything got better. And I think I did a podcast not too long ago on this very thing, that a lot of psychiatrists are moving away from drugging people and fixing their guts first with spectacular results. People are getting better without having to take the drugs once they balance their gut. This was really interesting because I was reading a letter that was recently in the news from the actor Robin Williams' wife, who was talking about his struggle with dementia before he died. And in it, she said she traced the first signs of trouble to his problems with dementia was a celebration of their wedding anniversary. It was about 10 months before her husband died, and he was saying that he had gut discomfort and he was really scared and anxious. And she said from that day on, that set off months of escalating problems until eventually he took his own life 10 months later. And it was very sad. But she said it started, the first signs of it all started when he started saying his stomach hurt, and then he had a lot of anxiety. And we don't all know what was going on. I mean, I think there's been more things that have come out recently, but it's always a sign. Our body's always giving us signals that something's off. And that it does that to me. It's the first sign that something wrong was in my life is I also often get gut discomfort. And if we don't heed this or correct it or pay attention to it, our emotions are caring for our gut, and our microbes are caring for us in a very powerful way. And so when we feel these emotions are out of control, if you feel more irritable, anxious, anxiety, or something like you can't concentrate, it could very well be a imbalance in your gut flora. And just a few minor changes could really make all the difference in the world. If your gut bacteria were a city, there'd be more than 100 trillion residents living inside of you. And guys, they do so much for us all the time. And signs of constipation or diarrhea or bloating or upset pain when you eat, it's always a sign that your gut is struggling and it needs your help because you're the captain of your ship. And these symptoms can often develop after taking antibiotics because it's a big way that your gut gets out of whack because it kills off all the beneficial bacteria. Signs of recurring vaginal infections or bladder infections are also a sign that your body doesn't have the right bacteria. And that's, you get toxic urea and it uses it as fuel and then increases more toxins. But the more good bacteria you have, the more it cleans that up. It actually eats that out of the urea, the toxins, and it uses it as a food source. It's very interesting how that works. It improves your kidney function. It improves your body's ability to eliminate chemicals and pesticides. And it can also bring infections to a halt, and they can't progress because your body will line for instance, with vaginal infections, it'll line the vaginal wall with bacteria to keep out those pathogens and seal it off and make it healthy and start to allow it to heal. So we do all these different things in our lives. We pop pills and take medication. And if you guys will start looking to healing your guts and to healing your body with food, it will just amaze you. It will just be a staggering awakening for you to understand that the cells of our body are made by the foods that we eat. And these foods that I talk about all the time, probiotic foods, have such a powerful ability to heal because they're made out of the thing that you're made out of. You've got trillions of bacteria, and these foods have billions of bacteria in them. And when they work together, they work in harmony. They build up the good bacteria. They destroy the pathogens. They make everything go into balance. They detoxify you. They nourish you. They help you digest more vitamins and minerals from your food. They allow elimination. They allow so many different aspects of the body to come into harmony. And so when we have things like emotional distress or gut disorders or just things where our stomach hurts, all of these are signals. And if you'll start waking up to the fact that your body's talking to you all the time, it's constantly giving you signals as to how you're doing, as to what you're doing. And if you will work with your body, you will have a spectacular life. Because guys, if you don't have your body, if your body's not healthy, your life is a struggle. It's awful. And I know that because I was there. I know what that's like. You're not really living. You're just getting by. And there are too many things in this life that you can enjoy and help others with if you feel good. And if you will get your body online, it will change everything. And I know that because I've lived that. And don't feel bad that you're struggling because your body is a magnificent machine. And just get in sync with it. Start listening to it. Start maybe trying some of these foods, just do them slowly. Just do them a little bit at a time. Start eating more things that feed your microbiome, fruits and vegetables, and give it the things it needs, and watch it change. Your cravings and addictions will be eliminated. You'll come into balance. Some of your stress hormones will reduce. Your body will start functioning as it was meant to. And it's so much fun to figure all this out. It's so much fun to figure out, like, I know certain foods will bother me, so I don't eat them anymore. They'll cause inflammation, so I just eliminated them from my life. But there's so many other foods that take their place. And the cravings and addictions I had for some of those foods were caused by the chemicals in them, or caused by my body's inability to digest them, which made me crave more of them. And when I eliminated them, I stopped wanting them. And it was effortless. So instead of trying to just, put myself on some strict diet, that never really happened. It was more of just a natural assimilation to the foods that my body loved. And it's so easy to love foods that your body loves that will love you back. And all of these conditions in my life that I've gone through have been real blessings because I've learned a lot from them. I've learned from, every morning I have kefir. I just do it every morning. First of all, I crave it. I love it. And I have kombucha every day, just sometime during the day, because it helps me and I love the taste. I have the veggies, whether it's a pickle, whether it's kimchi, it's just a spoonful or two. Depends on, sometimes I'll make a dip with it. I teach all that on my website and in my books. I've got recipes on my website with videos on YouTube. All of these things I just slowly started adding to my life, and my life started changing in a dramatic way. And I hope that happens for you too. I just did a class on Saturday, and I was talking to somebody, and this one lady said she's been following me for the last 8 years, which that was quite astounding to me. And she was telling me how much it had changed her life, and how much it's helped her family. And I had another lady come up to me and tell me that she had, I can't remember, she said she was a nurse, or she worked somewhere where she was helping people, or she brought something to work, and somebody had really bad eczema. And she gave them kombucha, and they started drinking it, and it went away. And then they quit drinking it for a few months, and they started noticing little scales coming back. And so they went back and started drinking it again. And that's really how simple it works. When something makes you well, you pay attention and you keep doing it. And so that was their body's way of teaching them that they needed that in their life. And so instead of taking expensive creams and lotions, they started, drinking kombucha, and that got rid of it. And they were covered in it, she said. And I hear these stories every day. You guys don't get to hear all the special stories of the way bacteria can work in the body. But I hope that if you're listening, that you'll give it a try. I hope that you just go slowly. Just pick something that interests you. See what happens. Begin to work with your body. I want you guys to feel good. It makes life so much fun. You cannot imagine what it's like to jump out of bed every day excited about life because you feel good. And when you feel good, you help others. And when you help others, the world gets better because you're happy. So these are the foods that not only make me healthy, they make me happy. They've helped me through so many things, through pregnancies, through menopause, through colds and flus, through anxiety, through stress, through all these things. I have been amazed that something as simple as food that sat upon my counter that was filled with billions of microbes could change me from the inside out. And they can do that for you too. Have a wonderful week. Thanks for listening, and go get you some cultured foods and watch what happens.